Hey, welcome back to Next Act Ninjas, the go-to podcast for mastering your health and wealth longevity. I'm your host, Rachael Van Pelt. Today, I want to share a secret about health longevity that we don't talk about nearly enough because, well, it isn't something that sells. It's not a sensational fountain of youth solution. It's not a pill or procedure. It is, quite simply, a mindset. I'm going to start by comparing two people in their early 70s. Once upon a time, they both had similar health, similar strength, similar lifestyles. Now, only one of them can still hike, travel, garden, and keep up with their grandkids. The other already has trouble simply climbing stairs, navigating uneven sidewalks, carrying their groceries and laundry. They even avoid traveling because of all the physical and mental demands that it takes. So what is it that separated these two people? It wasn't a miracle drug, it wasn't luck, and it wasn't genetics. The difference is that one of them made the mindset shift years earlier that they would do whatever it takes to protect their floor. What do I mean by floor? Most of us grew up thinking about health and fitness as chasing the ceiling, pushing harder, running faster, lifting more weight, setting PRs. And while that might have been the game when we were younger, after 50, the game shifts, doesn't it? The ceiling matters less. In fact, the ceiling will barely budge, however hard we try. What matters now is the floor, your baseline, the foundation of your health. Your floor is the bare minimum amount of strength that you maintain, your minimum level of fitness, your cognitive sharpness, and baseline immune function. And that floor is the foundation that supports your independence and longevity. But here's the thing. Once that floor cracks, once it drops, it is incredibly hard, if not impossible, to build it back up. So today I want to talk about how protecting your floor is the real key to extending health, longevity, and independence. And importantly, how to adopt the mindset of someone who refuses to compromise on that floor. Because protecting your floor isn't just a habit, it's who you are. But let's start with a reality check. After 50, biology changes fast. One of the most obvious changes is loss of muscle or sarcopenia. Studies show we can lose about 1 to 2% of muscle mass every year if we don't actively strength train. That might not sound like much, but add that up over a decade and you're looking at 10 to 20% of your muscle gone. The floor dropped. The same is true for cardiovascular fitness, immune resilience, and even memory. Small declines add up to major losses over time. And here's what makes it even more urgent. When you're younger, you can miss a few months at the gym due to illness or injury and bounce right back, can't you? But once you're over the age of 50, even just a few weeks of illness, injury, or vacation can lead to major loss of strength and endurance. And it takes months to claw that back. Wait too long and you don't get it back at all. The floor lowers permanently. That's why this idea of protecting your floor is so critical. Now, I don't want this to sound grim. This is not meant to be a scare tactic. This is actually incredibly empowering, in my opinion, because it means the game is winnable. The rules are clear. Protect your floor and you protect your independence. The way I see it, there are 5 key pillars holding up your floor. Strength and mobility form the first pillar. Muscle strength is the very reason that you can climb stairs, carry your groceries, or just get out of that chair without difficulty. Mobility, that's what lets you get down on the floor to play with your grandkids or dogs and actually get back up again. Strong muscle and good mobility both keep you steady on those uneven sidewalks and when you step off curbs. If you do stumble, you're more likely to catch yourself. Cardiovascular fitness is the second pillar. We don't always think about it, but a strong heart and lungs make you resilient to stress. They're what let you walk through that airport terminal without gasping for breath or chase your grandkids around the yard without needing to sit down. Fitness also determines how fast you recover from illness or surgery. And then there's your immune function. It's another major pillar holding up that floor. We all know People whose colds drag on for weeks, who never quite shake an infection, who take forever to recover. They have a very low baseline level of immunity. But when your immune system is robust, your body can much more easily fight off the occasional seasonal cold or flu virus. You're less likely to get sidelined by some random bacterial infection or medical treatment. Immunity is just that important of a pillar. Cognitive function is another critical pillar. Protecting your baseline memory and executive function means that you can manage your finances better, remember names, keep up with conversations, make better decisions. It's one thing to live longer. It's another thing entirely to live sharper. And finally, emotional stability. This may be the most overlooked pillar. Your baseline optimism, resilience, sense of purpose, it's what allows you to stay motivated, to handle stress, to keep showing up day in and day out. Without this pillar, your floor teeters precariously. Truth is, all of these pillars reinforce each other. If you protect your strength, you maintain your mobility. Better mobility allows you to exercise more. Regular exercise improves your fitness and your immune system, your cognitive function. When you aren't sick as often and you have more mental clarity, that's going to protect your emotional resilience. They all work together, so the pillars, they're more like scaffolding holding up your floor. But the opposite is also true, isn't it? If one pillar cracks or is missing altogether, others start to fall under that strain. If you lose strength, you lose mobility. Lose mobility, you can't exercise, so your cardiovascular fitness drops. Lose fitness, that leads to poor immune function and chronic illness, which can lead to isolation, cognitive dysfunction, and poor emotional health. You get the idea. It's easy to see just how quickly your floor collapses under the weight if you don't protect those pillars. So how do you protect them? Well, I think the most important thing you can do to stabilize your floor is to be firm in your identity. Are you the type of person who has a vague motivation to move more? Or are you the type of person who does some form of exercise every day, no matter what? You decide who you are at your core, and that becomes your floor. When you refuse to compromise or lower your standards, you are a protector of that floor. You no longer ask yourself, do I feel like exercising today? Or do I have time to exercise? You know the answer to that's going to be no, oftentimes. The real question is, am I someone who protects my foundation and refuses to let any cracks spread? Because here's the thing, compromise is dangerous. In your 30s, compromise just meant slower progress or underperforming. But after 50, compromise means permanent loss and accelerated aging. Skip the gym for a week, it can take you a month to claw your way back. Skip for a few months, you may never fully recover that baseline. I don't say that to frighten you, just to remind you of the stakes at hand. Protecting your floor is not optional. It's non-negotiable. When you reframe your floor as your core identity, everything changes. You're no longer chasing some arbitrary goal like a 200-pound bench press or a marathon PR. You're extending your health, longevity, and independence. And the good news is protecting your floor doesn't require heroic effort. It just requires consistency. 2 to 3 strength training sessions per week, walking daily, prioritizing protein and nutrient-dense foods at every meal, making sleep non-negotiable, challenging your brain and balance occasionally, staying socially engaged. They're not complicated things. They're not glamorous either, but they're the small daily choices that are going to reinforce those pillars and hold up that floor. You don't have to be perfect. Maintaining a strong, unshakable floor is just about resilience, not perfection. It's about making sure that even when you miss a day or get derailed, that you return quickly to your routine. You don't let small setbacks spiral into big ones. And let's be honest, life will throw curveballs at you. Illness, injury, even a planned medical procedure like knee surgery can feel like a wrecking ball crashing into that floor. The key, though, is not to panic or to slip into inactivity for months, just to bounce back as quickly as you can. Research shows that a week or two of bed rest can cause significant loss of strength and fitness. But the reverse is also true. Getting moving again, even gently, can pay outsized dividends. The quicker you re-engage your muscles, your balance, your lungs, the more likely you're going to get back to baseline. You can even get out ahead of it sometimes. If you have a planned medical procedure, like a hip replacement or a knee surgery, I suggest you do some pre-surgical training so you can boost your baseline strength. Research shows that strength training prior to surgery can shorten recovery time and improve outcomes. Too often I see people stop taking care of themselves in the weeks leading up to a procedure because they don't see any point. They think, why exercise if I'm just going to be laid up for a while? But that's not protecting your floor. That's letting it drop at exactly the time that you need it most. The fewer weeks that you take off from your routine, the better chance you're going to have getting back to even. So do whatever you can before and immediately after a procedure. And I don't mean rushing or ignoring your doctor's advice. I mean using every safe opportunity to reactivate your body. If you can walk, start walking. Slow, short, steady. If you can do light resistance bands, start there. If all you can do is manage to stand up from a chair a few times a day, that counts too. A good rule of thumb is to start easy and increase your duration and intensity 10% per week. I know that can feel mind-numbingly slow when you're eager to get back to baseline, but what's the alternative? Too much, too soon, too fast, and you risk cracking the floor. So don't rush it. Just be consistent and determined. In these situations, recovery in and of itself becomes training. You're not on hold. You're actively getting back to even. And the people who see resilience as part of their identity, who say, I'm the type of person who bounces back fast, they're the ones who don't let setbacks demolish their floor. They do whatever it takes to rebuild. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine your future self in another 10 or 20 years. What's the bare minimum that you want for yourself? Maybe it's to travel freely, walk through airports, explore new cities, climb into train, cars, or taxis without hesitation. Or maybe you want to play with your grandkids, lift them, carry them, chase them around. Do you want to be able to keep gardening, hiking, golfing, skiing? Do you want to keep managing your own finances, driving your own car, making your own decisions without relying on anyone else? Well, all of these visions, they require a high floor. And the only way you maintain that floor is by committing to protecting it today. So let's go back to those two people in their 70s we compared at the beginning. One can do all those things, one can't. The difference wasn't fate, it was mindset. One of them accepted baseline slide as an inevitable consequence of aging. They thought skipping a few weeks here or there didn't matter. They let their baseline floor drop year after year, while the other built an identity as someone who works hard to maintain a minimum level of strength, fitness, immune resilience, cognitive function. They worked hard to always get back to baseline after illness or injury. That's it. They simply made a decision and committed to it. You can do that too. No matter where your floor is today, you have the same decision to make. Will you commit to reinforcing that floor, or will you let your baseline slide? It's your choice. And look, I understand that protecting your floor doesn't sound glamorous. It's why I said at the beginning, the secret to longevity doesn't sell very well. In a world of go big or go home, maintenance feels like you're going nowhere fast. But the truth is, it's mastery. Every time you choose to move, to sleep well, to fuel your body, to stay engaged, you are mastering the art of health longevity. You're not just keeping up good health habits, you're building what scientists call functional reserve. And it's the key to lifelong good health and independence. So my challenge for you this week is this: decide who you want to be going forward. Are you someone who compromises, or are you someone who refuses to lower your standards? Build your identity around being a protector of the floor, because when you do, you're not just extending your years, you're extending the richness of those years. You're protecting your independence, your mobility, your memory, your joy. And in the end, that's not just a boring baseline. That's a gift to yourself, to your loved ones, to your future. And that's it for today. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Next Act Ninjas. If you're struggling in any way to get back to your baseline after illness or injury or just too much time off, please schedule a free coaching call. You'll find the link to my calendar in the show notes. Let's see what we can do to raise your floor immediately. Until next time, my friends, live well, love more, age less.